Welcome to the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please be seated and turn to page 2 in your liturgy book. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all evil karma committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Nihaya three refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. refuge in Dharma.
I take refuge in Dharma.
I take refuge in Sangha.
I take refuge in Sangha.
The five remembrances. I have the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I have the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I have the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I have the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I have the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I have the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I have the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I have the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I have the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Maya refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate the suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers. For the lineage of teachers before them, I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened. May their vows be completely realized. And may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion, may all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from hate and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness in the process of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness in the process of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the process of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the process of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from pain, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrongdoing, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Heart Sutra on page 4 of your journey book. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Practicing deep Prajna Paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this Chari Mudra. All things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not seen, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, no sound, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, such object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to know old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, hath no wisdom and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by Prajna Paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear until thinking right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by Prajna Paramita, attaining Anuttara Samya Sambodhi. Is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore, set forth the Prajna Paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim Gate, infinite realms of light and dark convey the divine. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere, devoted practice to the many beings of the sixth world, and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Jimmy, Emily's family, Marge, Debbie, Rory, Carly's mom, George and the Stone family, Becky, Dave, Sarah, Ardner family, Jack, Orgy, Hazel, Sister Suzette, Soke, and Roger. May they have peace, healing, and comfort. And to Emily, Christy, and Debbie at the time of their death. Also to those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. Wisdom beyond wisdom, primary school teachers and children. Please proceed to the ancestor hall. All others, please prepare for Zazen. will now recite the Song of the Covenant on page 8. We, the Daishin Kobuchi Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with the wonder and the wisdom and passion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with the deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, coming to support each other by the golden precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated. Sit comfortably, all facing the teacher. And in a moment, we will recite the Gata Opening Sutra, also on page 8. On opening the sutra.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for spending time with us today, practicing in Sangha. I really don't like the cold. as a rule, but I am enjoying, the cooling right now. In the warm summer, that deep gray kind of gets to me, but it so fits. It so fits this time of year. As it goes colder and we turn inward. So I'm very grateful to be inward here with you all practicing as Sangha today, especially. When we come together and we practice, there's something particularly special about it. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time looking at the fact that we come together. We have all of these tools directed towards our awakening: zazen, liturgy, sesshin, retreat, and we sit so much on our cushion on our own. The work that needs to be done, no one's going to do for you. Really not. There is a solitude in this practice, and we get told that no one can do this work for you, and there's this other bit of you can't do this by yourself. The fact that we can gather together and practice is just something so incredibly special. The fact that we need that, I think, sometimes might escape us. When we consider how special it is and how needed it is to be able to practice as Sangha, we can look at our own liturgy, and I mean, it's really embedded this reminder. At the core of Jukai, at the core of the Buddhist teachings, there are refuges. And Roshi spoke at length this morning to the Lam Rim class about this refuge, what it is to take refuge. And we have our refuge in the Buddha, the awakened nature. We have the refuge in the Dharma, the teachings and the truth of the universe and how it presents. And this guy who came to awakening sitting under a tree alone in the woods has one more thing to say. His refuge in Sangha. And this is so important that in the refuges, we actually chant this 3 times in our liturgy. We have in the Nikaya, we chant it in Pali and then go right on to the English. And then we have it in the Mahayana refuges. All of these are so incredibly important. With the story of, with the refuge of Sangha, I think we do a pretty good job here of giving it its due attention. There's a lot in our community, a lot in our training matrix that points us to what it is to be in Sangha, what it is to practice in Sangha. Writ large, in Western Buddhism, I think particularly coming out of some of our earlier decades in its first landing here, Sangha might not have gotten the attention it deserved. A lot of oxygen neededly taken up by Buddha and Dharma, unavoidably in this project of awakening. But there's so much that points to the importance of Sangha right out of the Buddha's own teachings. Most of you who've been around for a little bit, you've heard this story. This is from the Samyutta Nikaya in the Connected Discourses of the Buddha, that the Venerable Ananda approached the Blessed One, paid him homage, sat by his side, and said, rather confidently, Bhante, this is half of the spiritual life. That is good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship. Ananda is very good at setting himself up for our benefit. And the Buddha replies, not so, Ananda, not so. This is the entire spiritual life, Ananda. That is good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship. When a practitioner has a good friend, a good companion, a good comrade, it is to be expected that he will develop and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path. And so right from the start, the Buddha's pointing out that they're going to need each other. And even in the early stages of the community, this was not a lost awareness, the importance of that. Out of the Lam Rim and other Mahayana teachings, we also have this list. It's named a few different things, the 5 actions of immediate retributions, the things that you can do of such unreversible karma that upon your death, you'll be reborn in a lower realm, in a hell realm. And the first few, not surprising. One way ticket to hell. Killing one's mother, killing one's father, killing an arhat, a bodhisattva. Actually, there's 5 here. Maliciously drawing blood from a Buddha. And also on this list, creating a division or schism in the Sangha. To divide the Sangha is tantamount to dividing the very flesh of the Buddha. Ooh. That's heavy. That's heavy. So they're making a very clear point. There is, you burn off that karma in your lifetimes, but in that moment, the bad karma that is done is just of an incomparable nature. Now, not to bring the mood down, but this is pointing to, again, how important Sangha practice is. So, what is it to practice in Sangha? Well, first off, we practice. We take up the seat of meditation. We do our individual practice. We count the breath. We chant the liturgy. We may engage in metta practices to generate love and compassion, not only for others, but inside of ourselves for others. The work we do is so internal, so critical that we realize that this is where we're working, so that this is what is benefited. Work here, manifest here. And so we develop this equanimity, compassion, clarity, sitting on the cushion. And then what do we do with it? Well, we get up and we move around. We do kinhin, and we have to navigate each other. From Angola Road to here, I was always a right side of the Zendo person. And the handful of times I've been on the left side of the Zembo, I'm only batting about 600 on not taking the wrong turn at the end of the row. And there's navigating people and bumping into people. And that's in a very real and physical way. But navigating each other, engaging with each other in a harmonious way is what the Buddha is saying to Ananda in that passage. To be able to meet as noble friends and interact in a way that is harmonious is the first steps of manifesting the things that we work seemingly individually to cultivate. So we sit alone together, and then we move, and we encounter each other. And Sangha, as we all know, and I heard this morning, it's messy. It's very messy because, to quote my teachers, people. Because people, including yourselves. But, it's kind of a shame. It's like, I love video games like Tears of the Kingdom and things along those lines. And a really well-created video game always has that tutorial at the beginning, like the low stakes, nothing's gonna go wrong to your character, learn the controls, how does this go? And there's kind of this thought is like, wow, like in the training, wouldn't it be nice if there was like a tutorial mode for life? And Sangha is that for us. Maybe it is still your life. Link can fall from the high precipice and we'll have karmic results in our real lives. But we can engage with each other in Sangha in ways that would be so much more difficult at work or at the supermarket, or for those revving up for the great application of your personal practice, American Thanksgiving with the family. Something so relevant to the navigation of our applied practice. Rinzai and Doan have given like specific multiple Dharma talks on Thanksgiving practice. Because when we come into the Sangha, this is the beauty tutorial mode, the training mode of our practice, is we come to a place, and for those of us who stay, thank you to those people who are here for the first time today. As we come back, we are coming here to work on this training. And we are coming to this place with other people who are doing it too. And if we're not careful, we could miss the fact that our interactions here are different. They have the potential to be different. You're still you. All the you that does the you stuff that goes well or not in daily life, you're going to bring that to the temple. Please do. If you bring anything else, we're not spending our time well. Just show up as you and do that work. Because when we don't interact harmoniously, but we all are embedding that metta, that Mahayanan teaching, trying to develop not only that wisdom wing, but that compassion wing together. We have the opportunity to react to each other in a different way. And we still react. May you stay engaged in this practice to have interactions with people who are also practicing, and you come out of it going, you know what? I don't know if I like that person. Weirdly, this isn't like a group of friends where that's entirely necessary. It's a common byproduct that we like each other because we have this shared goal. But if we are practicing that compassion, if we are trying to engage in ways that are harmonious within the community, even when we have those really bad moments where something happens we don't agree with, someone does something that's upsetting to us, there is a different way of engaging it. We can be more vulnerable when we really investigate the place and we convince ourselves that there is safety here. There is an opportunity to engage people in this way. And it is a mode that might not be as effective at Kroger. I was going to say Sobeys, but I got to translate. At Kroger, Walmart, that's their universe. Because we move out into the course of our day and we go to our places of work, we encounter our family. And one thing that stuck to me that I heard early on from so many teachings was you encounter a world that does not care that you are practicing. You know, there is this mode where we move through the day that is protected, the shields are up, and they're the shields that have the spiky bits on it. Right? And so they'll protect us, but we can also kind of jab that. And it really feels like the world really goes through most of its path in that way. If we're not careful, you know, the world seems like a nasty place. It could really, really hurt us. Being vulnerable can have risks. Here, we're a little bit more in that training mode, that tutorial mode. If we come in a way with the spiky shields, it's going to be pretty obvious pretty quickly that something isn't fitting well. There's also safety. We have an ethics policy. We have people who help us keep an eye on unsafe situations. And so it's not that, you know, this is an infinitely safe space for everybody. To practice, you have to actually manifest harmony in the Sangha. To practice in the Sangha, you have to manifest harmony in the Sangha. The mandala as an organism won't accept otherwise, ultimately. And so we run into each other, we bump into it. If our awareness is improving, we will notice right away. And if there's a little bit of self-awareness, we won't immediately do the natural thing, which is, what did you do to make this problem between us? That we will look at our own agency, we will see it from our own seat of practice with both wings open, the compassion, the clarity. And it's really interesting, the reaction we can get from other people as we learn to show up that way. Some people who have been building this place and guiding us might even be put in a position to specifically offer feedback and correction. I don't know where my practice would be without Dokusan. Being able to meet with people who can see my spiky shields that I think are part of me, who can see my garbage, and be gentle with it, recognize that this is me showing up, but then ultimately, you know, point my own attention back to it. This is not something that is easily found in the universe. To be surrounded by people committed to awakening and developing this equanimity and compassion. So we become, in that way, because we're kind of all going through the same thing, we're all dealing with our samsaric egos, we're trying to live in the day-to-day life, And early on, then we come here to practice. Again, the great wish is that we practice long enough that we realize that we don't come here to practice. That we practice. And coming here is like, I mean, I can work out at any point in the day, but I can go to the gym. And when I can go to the gym, the technology and the shared mission there really helps me to do it well. I can practice at any time of the day, but if I don't meet with Sangha, if I don't come to Shin, if I don't engage in liturgy with community, it is very easy to drift. The hair is coming back. It's not quite combable yet, but I am getting to the point where I need a mirror. And practicing with others is that mirror. Okay. So how do we practice? And actually, looking at the training mandala, we talk about things like zazen and services and session. But so then what's happening at game night? What's happening in the sewing room? The garden? The meetings where 7, 8, 9, 10 people who have different views on things have to find a particular path forward? It's Sangha practice. Every time we have to move together, we move things together, we're presented with this beautiful opportunity to practice in community. And this is a transferable skill. The equanimity that we can develop, we can even bring to those environments that don't care that we're not practicing. That we can be the subtle mirror, we can be the source of compassion in those other places, and we can be that presence of equanimity that we notice that we don't necessarily get pulled into the froth and the fray of the chaos. And there's chaos. I barely watch the news anymore. I still know there's chaos. The chaos is seemingly external. Some of it. So how do we make harmony? Well, read the room. Different situations call for different things. I don't think there's any one way to make harmony, but we do have to connect to the room. We do have to connect to this moment. Rinsen and Doan talking about the bodhisattvas that show up in the many realms. They're always very specific. How you show up to meet a particular environment does matter. It does have to tune into the environment. So we read the room. We seek out noble friends. That term we're hearing a little bit more and more in the training mandala, this noble friendship, this easily and obviously emerges when we are meeting with people who are also practicing. For those of you who have kids, who your kids pick as friends, this is an area of concern. Sometimes we don't even notice it for ourselves. Who we pick as friends can be an area of concern. As in my workplace, one of the terms Enmei will often use in the most extreme of circumstances is energy vampire. It's like, oh, yes. I know the feeling. So to find noble friendship and to cultivate that. And one of the, again, nice thing in Sangha is we come together, noble friendship, and engaging in suitable conversation is the terminology. And it's not, not real, it's not like lists of appropriate topics or anything like that. Although you could look at it and go, okay, there are things that we tend to talk about, things that we don't talk about. I did World War II reenacting. I've got card friends. I've worked with the Park Service. It's like, I know the conversations in different groups changes depending on the group. And the conversation in that group is always tailored to bolster what the group is about. Hopefully it's something good. If it's not, these are noble friends, to be sure. So for us, these noble friends, this practice when we come together, suitable conversation is that which helps us towards awakening, helps us to develop compassion, helps us to mirror to each other what is arising, what is feeling. It's not necessarily about we sit around and, well, let's talk about what Bhikkhu Bodhi put on page 37 or whatever. It's not talking Dharma all the time. The Dharma nerds of us are happy to. But suitable conversation, I have found, can be about chess. Suitable conversation can be about so many different things. Our own lives and how we practice them. Suitable conversation is not talking necessarily. Suitable conversation is also presence and listening, being there for each other. Is it just me telling my story? I know this is an issue I encountered in Dokusan. My early days of Dokusan, so much of it was taken up by my story, talking about what was going on for me. And then there was this point where it's like, well, that's not why I'm here. There's something more that I'm working on. There's other things to engage around, more suitable, more productive, more wholesome, more bent directly at the heart of the matter. Okay. This morning, Roshi brought up something. I'm trying to remember the exact words. I wrote it down and then I misplaced the paper. There's this point, I think it's in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, where it says the person who has died, calling them by name, Kaishin now is alone with their karmic conditions. This moment where we die, where whatever we were moving towards, the efforts of this life can no longer touch. And so these times where we get to meet together and practice, unbelievably precious. We don't know when our opportunity to mirror each other, polish each other, practice with each other will evaporate because the breath stops or the border closes or the job moves you or some other wild, gross, or subtle thing that you couldn't possibly imagine that is just going to show up on your doorstep tomorrow. So this is a very precious time. And And if I use my time with you as a Sangha member, just to, keep pushing along the story of Rob, the drive to Toledo is a lot just to be doing that. There has to be something more relevant going on here. So let's let that be practice. Let's let that be the practice of finding how to engage harmoniously, dharmically, with each other in a way that we can polish each other, we can mirror for each other, and help us move toward better. Lunch is not an after practice. And I still want to move on to lunch. So, for the sake of all beings, especially those who have not found practice, and those who have found practice but see it as a thing on the list, a thing that is here and not there. May they open to the gifts of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May it fill their life, and may it bring them and all beings to awakening in this lifetime. May it be so. Mukuya? Where's our Mukuya? Who was our Mukuya player? There we go. You two. There we go. We're going to do the sung one. We got to have a rhythm section. No problem.
I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings. That concludes the streaming portion of our service today. Are there any